to my home. So many times people ask me, Tessie, how can you always stay so positive? How can you always stay so uplifted, even when the world, everything around us seems to be falling apart? And you know, that is a really good question. Sometimes you ask me things I really have to think about, and I really thought about this for a long time. And I thought to myself, why? Why be happy when times are so troubled like this? And how do we have our mental health intact? And how do we keep going each day? And you know, it's not an easy answer. You know, it's not an answer where I could just say, do this, do this, do this, and you have a perfect life. But I think through trials and tribulations that we go through in our lives, I think that's when we realize the good in our life. And so if we can take all of the mistakes that we've learned in our life and we can learn from them and we can grow from it, I think that makes us better people. And right now, over this time, you know, there is so much turmoil. So I decided, when it all started, to really just focus on my home, focus on my property, focus on my life, and focus on my family, focus on even more. So I thought, what could I do? Instead of sitting and listening to the news, I don't listen to the news. That's something that doesn't really interest me. But yet, in times, you do need to know what's going on. I don't believe in burying your head in the sand and pretending that nothing is happening. But yet, how do we look forward? Well, looking forward means you don't look back. So many times people want to look back to the troubles and the things in their life, and they want to look back and they want to focus on that, and they want to keep reliving it over and over. And reliving trials in your life is never going to get you anywhere. Yes, as humans, we do look back every once in a while and think, what happened to us or what happened in our lives, and we do that. We're human. I mean, it's impossible to never think about your past. But you always focus on the present. And so while you think about that, instead of thinking about it in a negative way, you think about it in, wow, yeah, that happened to me, but you know what? I'm not that same person anymore. So I started reading books. I started reading books on Peter Rabbit. I mean, why do you think I did the videos on Peter Rabbit? Because it's happy, it's joyous, it's positivity. And I started talking about Tasha Tudor, and I talked about people that lived uplifting lives. I talked about Elizabeth Elliot. I do all of these things for one thing in mind, is to share with you what I'm doing to stay positive. It's who you're around, it's what you see. So if you're around drama and that's all you want to take in, or around things that are negativity, it's going to seep into your life, whether you realize it or not. And so I'm just sharing with you a candid discussion today, because that is how we are. Whatever we sow, we reap. And so whatever we put our minds to is what affects us emotionally. And so I decided, through all this turmoil and all of this sickness and all of this who knows what and things like that, I decided to take my property and make something of it. And you know what? I'm showing with you that it doesn't take money. It just takes a willpower, and it takes thinking outside the box. You know, I tell you all the time, you know, you have to think outside the box. You know, the biggest realists in the world were thinkers outside the box. You know, they didn't take what people said or what the status quo was. They made it their own. They decided to take what they thought in themselves, and they made it something out of it. And that's what I've done in a small scale. You know, I don't take about what, you know, society says you should do or what society says you should say. I take what I think is right. And you know, I'm wrong sometimes. I'm human. But you know what? I'm authentic, and I'm myself. And being happy is something that I have always been. I'm a bubbly person. I love to live large. This is how I am. And many people have come and visited me, and they said, the first thing they say is, wow, this is how you are. I am. Hi, everybody. When I go into the store and I see somebody I know, I run up to them, I hug them, and like, hi, hi, hi. This is how I am. And it's so easy for me to be this way. And it's the bubbliness of me. But I know not everybody is that way. And some people look at my channel and they want to know, I want to be happy, Tessie. I want to have peace, Tessie, but I just can't get over that hurdle, that hump that I'm in right now. How do you do it? You have to put your practice where your mouth is. In other words, you have to not just say the things, you have to do the things. You have to get up and get out and do things. It doesn't mean you have to be physically able to do hard work, but get outside and sit and then just listen to nature. Our bodies have a rhythm to them, and our bodies, the rhythm is that our bodies listen to what goes on around us. So much of our lives are environmental. So much of our lives are environmental when we were born. Yes, a lot of our lives, it's bloodline, you know, it's our DNA, but so much more of it is environmental. We can change our environment one day at a time. That doesn't mean we change other people. There's always going to be naysayers. There's always going to be people that poke fun. There's always going to be people that are unkind. There's always going to be people that don't believe in you. But you know what? You don't worry about that. You make your area, your life, what you want it to be. Even if you're in a room somewhere, turn that room into a room where you enjoy. Turn that room into your own little place. I tell people all the time, I understand there's a lot of families that live in a large dynamics. They live in a family situation where these people don't want to live a simple life. Maybe your husband, maybe your spouse, maybe you live with children, you know, that don't want a simple life, and you have a very chaotic life. You can always make an area of your life somewhere, no matter where you live, and that's something that we all can do. You know, as humans, there are certain things that we all have the same. There's something that we all have as human beings. No matter how poor you are, no matter how rich you are, we all have the same amount of time. What are you doing with your time on this earth? And that is really important, because you cannot focus your life on others all the time. You have to do some things for yourself sometimes. That's not being selfish. That is being protective of yourself. And so if your life is so chaotic that mentally you're becoming so drained, then you need to realize that you're not taking care of yourself. And over this time that we can start, you know, stressing what's going to happen tomorrow. How am I going to get paid? How am I going to have money? How am I going to live? We can't help what's happening to us, but yet we can help how we let that in. And just create your own life somewhere. A room, an area outside. Go outside for a minute at a time, 2 minutes at a time. But you have to make the effort. You know, you can't sit and focus on all of the things that are happening to you and then wonder why you feel the way you do. You have to get out and do something about it. Everyone can do something about the situation that they're in. Whether it's just going for a little walk. If you can't walk, go outside and read a book. Go outside and close your eyes and listen to nature. I think this is my passion. I think my passion, my channel, has really become, it's evolved into this. You know, in the beginning, the first 2 years of my channel, it was just reaching out and having friends and a place where I could share things that I was doing in my life. In the last year, my channel has really evolved into something different, and I really see it's a need for people to say, hey, I want to come to Homestead Tessie's channel because I need peace in my life. I want to come to Homestead Tessie's channel because I know there it's going to be uplifting. I know there I'm going to find just a little bit of just comfort and friendship. And that is how my channel has evolved in it. And it's going to continue to evolve that way because that is the direction that I am going in. And that is something that's a passion to me. You know, a lot of people have passions. In fact, everyone has a passion about something. I talk about this all the time. Some people have passions, you know, with the world of animals and the animal kingdom. Some people have passion for children and the protective rights of children. Mine is the older people. Mine is to share with people a life that is simplicity. Mine is older people to let you know, hey, your nest is empty, but your life isn't over. So many times when their loved ones, they move out, your children get married and have grandchildren, you have grandchildren, and they all have a life of their own. You think your life is over. I see that so many times, and then depression sets in. It happened to my mother. She thought her life was over because her children all moved away, even though we all needed her dearly. And so I think that is very sad, and I think that the older you get, your life has just begun. Your life has just begun. And I want you to see it that way, because so many times as we get older, we have the aches and we have the pains of life. And then our bodies start breaking down and things start happening. And then we just feel like, what's the point of living? I want to tell you there is a point in living. I know I'm only 50 years old. To some of you, I seem really young. But I realize that there is a need out there for the older generation to not give up on life and not give up on things, and get back into canning, get back into gardening, grow some herbs on your windowsill, start your sewing again or crocheting again. Do something, keep yourself busy, give your life a meaning. Maybe some people would say, well, that's not much of a meaning, Tessie, getting up just to knit and do things like that. It is. It's the meaning of life. You know, back in the olden days, I talk about all the time, we love to read diaries of the pioneers. We love to read diaries of the people that lived in the 1800s. What was their diaries about? Their diaries wasn't about traveling the world. Their diaries weren't about, you know, going to the malls and expensive places and going to fancy restaurants. Their diaries were about their every single day life. Now all of a sudden that's something special in this high society life that we live, the rat race. But because of all of this, my friends, the rat race slowed down. It's a pause in the history of our lives. It's a pause in our history. We have this pause. What are we doing with it? And I pray that after this pause is lifted in our lives, that we will no longer be the same. That's my prayer, and that is my hope and challenge. I don't want people to go back to the rat race, to the almighty dollar, to go and have to sell themselves for that money, to try to become somebody rich and famous or somebody important. You're important where you are now. And it's your everyday life that makes you important. There is extraordinary in the ordinary. That is my passion to share with all of you. I live an ordinary life. My life is ordinary. I'm a homebody. I stay at home. I work in the gardens. My life is not going to ever be plastered on the news. My life is never going to be something that people are going to be like, wow, superstar, Tessie. My life is ordinary, but it's extraordinary because I live it each day to the fullest. Because I am taking life and I'm doing the things that I enjoy. This is what I enjoy. This is my life. This is what I want to pass on to my grandchildren. I want to teach them a way that doesn't require a price tag to it. I thank you guys so much for watching, and I thank you for listening to me, and I share with you the focus of my channel and to share with you really what am I about? What am I doing here on YouTube? My passion on YouTube is to share my life with all of you in a way that when you come to my channel that you know that you're going to find peace and comfort in times of need and in times of plenty as well. Take care, everyone. We'll see you guys tomorrow. Mwah.